So you know the old saying, better late than never? Well, I'm finally getting around to reviewing the 5th episode of Star Trek Lower Deck Season 5. The episode is Starbase 80? The Cerritos hits an anomaly and navigation gets taken out, so they have to go to a nearby starbase for repairs, and it happens to be Starbase 80, which is considered by everyone to be the worst starbase ever. We saw a glimpse of it, was it last season or the season before, when Mariner was temporarily transferred there and she hijacked out, well, resigned because she didn't want to be there because she describes it as awful, and she's basically traumatized by it, and she does not want to be there. She was willing to take the 30-year impulse journey to the next nearest starbase. So, yeah, she does not want to be there. Captain Freeman also doesn't want to really be there because, as we saw in Dos Cerritos, the first episode of the season, in the alternative reality, she was sent there as well, and she does not want Starbase 80 to, get her or whatever. So, basically, they are going in with apprehensions. Everyone has apprehensions about Starbase 80. Mariner is convinced it's cursed. Well, before they have to go in, they can't use the transporters because apparently Starbase 80's transporters aren't working. They have to basically do the decon chamber from Star Trek Enterprise. By the way, there's a lot of Star Trek Enterprise references in this episode, and Ransom puts way too much of that decontamination gel on. Way too much. And anyhow, they do eventually meet who I presume is the station commander, though she, I think, calls herself a special ambassador or something like that. But regardless, pretty much a lot of the people who work on Starbase 80 are wearing Star Trek Enterprise era uniforms. But that's cool and all. And actually, those are some of my favorite uniforms from an actual working uniform standpoint. And, their jumpsuit makes way more sense. And so Starbase 80 being so run down makes some sense to have that. Because one, it's more practical for the situation. But it's also a sign that they're not getting the resources that they need from Starfleet. So they're making do with whatever they have. They don't have comm badges or even handheld communicators. They're using wall comms all over the place. Their main engineering, the gravity is reversed and they can't get that fixed. Basically, the station's run down and it's not getting the resources they need. So, the Cerritos is already a lower decks ship. It's not giving prestige assignments. It's not giving the recognition or glory it deserves and all that. Well, Starbase 80 is basically the Cerritos equivalent of the Cerritos. So a big part of the overarching narrative of this episode is that it's dispelling the perception the Cerritos has of Starbase 80 and the perception that we all have as fans, showing us it's not really bad, it's not this awful place, it's not great, but that's because it's not getting the resources it needs to operate. Though, like I said, they got old technology all over the place. They got old uniforms. Cool uniforms, practical uniforms, but still old and technically outdated. So that's a big part of this episode, showing that. But the fact that Starbase 80 is outdated on that technology is actually what helps save the day, because that anomaly that disrupted the Cerritos' navigation, well, it was caused by a non-corporeal entity that was trying to make contact with corporeals, accidentally possesses one of the cetacean ops officers, I forget which one, and that starts spreading throughout the Cerritos crew whenever they're using their comm badges. So the Starbase 80 staff crew are fine because they're using all the wall comms, not comm badges. Mariner, Freeman, and Ransom are not all affected, but everyone else is. And the reason why Ransom and Freeman aren't affected is because the chief engineer has them going around doing his job for him because he can't get the stuff done and repaired. And Mariner's only saved because the Starbase 80's commander, who's an Elorian, by the way, a young one but still an Elorian, rips Mariner's comm badge off and destroys it because she recognizes what's going on. And once Milner comes down, because, she's convinced Starbase 80 is out to get her, she actually recognizes, yeah, if I wasn't so obsessed with making sure Starbase 80 didn't get me, I might have been more observant. But yeah. And of course, Starbase's 80's doctor figures out what to do. He grabs a chair and hits the station ops officer, and that gets the non-corporeal entity out. And he says, oh, just medical stuff. Really fun. I kind of want a Starbase 80 show. Just truly a ragtag crew of Starfleet officers trying to do their best with limited to no resources. The only time we really got to see that was Season 3 of Star Trek Enterprise. Voyager did that a little bit in the Year of Horror episodes, two-parter, but that's really should have been more Voyager, and they never did. But they were still on a nice ship, not, still connected. They actually probably were more connected than Starbase 80 was, because at least they had updated uniforms. And so the episode ends is the Cerritos decides to stay a little bit longer and help Starbase 80 fix a lot of the technical issues and all that. So I do wonder if they did resolve that situation where half the station was owned by a gang because of a misnegotiated treaty. I do wonder if they actually fixed that. But like gravity and the main engineering, all that, and a bunch of other small stuff, they definitely got fixed properly. Though I think Freeman is still trying to catch a bat that the chief engineer asked her to do, a space bat thing. Yeah. Again, she doesn't really get any character development here, more of just the comic relief, because I think the hardest episode was to get Milner to grow as a Starfleet officer. She's already grown, she's getting used to, just doing her job, loving her job. Now that she's now trying to buck the system at every step of the way, she's actually thriving, and she's also, I think, making things better in the way that she couldn't when she was bucking the system, because she was not bucking it in a constructive way. I guarantee you, if an admiral orders the Cerritos to do something stupid, yeah, Milner is going to speak up. She's not going to take that lying down, but, she recognizes that, yeah, someone probably needs to, get some of these tasks done, And it's always shown that the mission of Starfleet, she always was into, but she didn't like a lot of the institutional stuff. And while she's becoming more accepting of it, I guarantee you, she's still willing to buck authority when needed. And in some ways, this episode was kind of the case, because, she did buck authority, the station commander, because she didn't like Starbase 80. So part of her growth in this episode was to, accept that not every station is going to be perfect, and accept that Starbase 80 isn't out to get her. Which, if she wants to, continue in Starfleet, she needs to accept that, a Starbase will not be out to get you, unless it's possessed by a non-corporeal entity, I guess. Or there was an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine where Deep Space Nine got infected with a type of parasitic alien that really just was like a dog, so Brian made a digital doghouse for it. But the point being is that Milner needed essentially to grow out of her superstitions regarding Starbase 80 to help Starbase 80. Does that make sense? Because I think I didn't make sense. But you know what? There's so much more to discuss. Small little things, other references, I'm sure, that I totally forgot to mention. Like, for example, they don't have replicators in Starbase 80, so they have food vendors scattered about. And they don't have a holodeck either, or at least they don't have a working one, so they have an arcade instead. Which, by the way, was a fun bit there. So, there's a lot more to discuss, like I said, but let's get the discussion opened up in the comment section down below. I would love to hear your thoughts on this episode. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and live long and prosper. Thank you for watching my video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like and share. Also, consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest content. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you, always.